How do you know what your work?
Yeah, so I keep a running list of things, just like this is what I did here. And you know what? It may be a little delulu, but randomly throughout the day, I'll just pop like one of those thoughts in, like, ooh, remember when we built this integration? You didn't know anything about it and you brought 16 million in transactions to the business. Like, that'll just be, I have a running list
Yes.
of things.
So you're just like consistently
Yes.
reminding yourself of
Yes.
your value and like
Mhm.
how much you brought to the table.
Even at Hackering,
Yeah.
I started in 2023 and the company has come so far and we look different 2, 3 years later, and specifically integrations with me being there.
Mhm.
There are moments people be telling me stuff and it could be again Delulu, but I'm just like, ooh, I remember in 2023 it was like this. I
Yeah.
remember this happened,
Okay.
then we fixed this, then this fell apart and we jumped in and fixed that. And that's what keeps me motivated, but that's what also lets me know like, no, I am valuable. So even working going back to Walgreens or going back to the bank, that's an even better one. I didn't know anything about money at that job, but I had several clients who were millionaires who were able to get a lot of value from me. Robo investing was coming out at the time, which was like automated investing portfolio. And I was one of the bankers that helped lead that effort. So I would sit there and I'll be like, no, in a tech company, I may not have accomplished some of these things, but comparable to where I've been in those organizations, I know that I've stood on business and I've provided a lot of value. I
Yeah.
think we psych ourselves out because we're like, it's not technical, it's not product, it's not any of this stuff. When at the end of the day, the core question is like, what did you leave behind? Like what's
Oh
there,
yeah,
what's
for sure.
changed
Yeah,
because of
because of you.
yeah, that's helped me.
You said that you keep a list. So how often are we updating this list? Because we want
Yeah.
some best practices from a
Yeah.
product manager. Like we
Yeah.
want a best practice for somebody who's becoming a master negotiator,
Yeah.
understanding their value. How
Yeah.
often are you?
Man, so my boss, he actually keeps a list of his own. I think he updates it. He's like a meticulous kind of person. I'm not that. I feel like he updates it as soon as something happens.
Okay.
I think his list, my list, everybody who reports to him, he keeps them running kind of
Oh,
thread.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
he's a
amazing.
really good. That's something else. I've had amazing leadership. My own list, I probably weekly, or if I'm like upset about something, I'm like, we need to like find out what our new wins were. But yeah, that's what I do. I want to add to that because you said SWOT analysis,
Yeah.
and that's really what is going on. I have a consistent kind of SWOT analysis going on. Because and it's the kind of thing where I'm the CEO of my life. I'm the person that is in the driver's seat of this whole thing. And if I'm only looking to a company to give me praise or to validate me or my partner or projects, I'm not really taking a huge view of everything that's going on. So as much as I'm like, yeah, I need to hype myself up when I've had this list of wins that I've needed to go over, I also need to reflect on what were opportunities that I left on the table. What were interactions that didn't go good? Sometimes, I'm not a perfect person. And I'm from Chicago, so I'll say something like, what's going on? Like I've literally been on calls.
Bro, character. Like, is you cool?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done that.
That's
I've
Chicago.
had that. I've had that.
That's
But my favorite one is just why is no one ready? But I don't do that as much because I've had inputs, where it's been like, Travell, when you say this thing, you actually create division or you create these anxieties in people. But that's why I think it's an executive kind of function to consistently calculate all of these things, all the pieces of feedback, because that's what it is, and be able to shape that into a character or persona, the kind of professional you want to be.
Love that, love that, love
Yeah.
that. Because I think too, we talk about a lot of the pretty stuff, right? We talk about the numbers, we talk about compensation, we talk about all the things, but it's like, how do you grow? So you describe yourself as like a people first person, right? Like when you are conceptualizing, as you're working, as you're building products, you're thinking about people first and what their experience is going to be. How do you do that, or how do you keep that mindset when you're working with something as technical as like APIs?
It's all people. People are going to use it at the end of the day. Even if the API is a thing that's sharing the data or making the action happen, there's always going to be some end user or person that's going to be impacted by that. So I try to think and start there before I like immediately get into the minutia of like the technical of these kind of products. How that works when you're building things with people is way different because I don't want people first to seem like I'm a social worker or some kind of healer or I'm doing like light work or anything like that. It's like, are we considering the people from the perspective of what they could do, what they value, how included they feel, how aligned they are to what we're building? And you take in all those inputs and you begin to charge forward using that. So when I say I'm people first, it's like I'm taking time to deeply look at people, what motivates them, do they need to be able to shape the things that I'm building and trying to do.
If you guys aren't familiar with it, I keep trying to explain stuff and he keep correcting me because I got a lot.
I'm not
I got a
correct.
lot. No, I'm correct. But
Yeah,
I'm saying
sure.
an API is essentially, I would describe it as like a framework that helps different systems talk to each other,
I like
right?
that.
So when we talk about keeping a people first mentality, when you're going into building these APIs, are you trying to make it as simple as possible? So for me, I'm technical, but I'm not that technical, right? Like like I got a couple,
You like,
I got a couple that I
I
can
know
build.
what's supposed to be
Yes.
there.
But when you're building different integrations and you're using those APIs, I know that the technology has advanced from you having to even see the coding language to integrate certain things. Now it's kind of like you can do it from the UI. Yeah.
I feel like a part of it is API, people build things on top of them. And there is a part of me that thinks about the builder. So the software developer who will be taking it on. And I look at these things like, okay, why would this specific value be accessible via the API in this certain kind of way? Why is it that I need to generate a token here, there, and all of these other places to get my app running? So I do look from a people first lens on the developer experience, how straining it is for them. But I also think about what they're trying to build ultimately. What are they trying to do? If you're trying to build something for recruiters or HR professionals and you're a software developer or whatever, I need to probably make sure that this API is giving you accurate information, that is consistent in its response, that it's not slowing down on you. And that is how whatever that person's building reaches the end user in a nice state. So it's thinking about the builder, but it's also thinking about what could they build, possibly be trying to do with this API, and how do we make that great for the end user?
Yeah. What do you feel like is important for someone who wants to be top product manager or someone that you would describe as like a strong leader or a strong product manager?
Man, it's so many things. I think you need to just be a really, really great listener. You're doing a lot of therapy, a lot of talk therapy with your colleague. You do a lot of talk therapy with everybody. The executives are like, why are we building this in the first place? Or what's going on? And they're having a cow. You got to go talk to them, calm them down. Your designer is trying to like, they're having a creative meltdown. They're like, oh my God, how can I begin to like put this into words and shapes? You just gotta, it's again, it's talk therapy with a lot of people. You have to listen to what they want. You have to listen to what they need and do your best to give them those things. I don't do a good job in like making sure that everybody has what they want. And I think that's okay. So I do think a part of being a product manager is being able to be disliked,
Okay.
being able to stand on business in the sense of, you know, I understand what you said, but this is where the product is going. This is like, I've taken in all the inputs. This is the vision that we're charging for, being able to advocate on that. And also being able to live with the fact that you may want to do a lot every day, but you can't get it all done. So there's definitely going to be, somebody called it drowning. I forget what I was watching, but they were like, you're gonna feel like you're drowning most days because most days there is that amount of stuff that you need to just dig through and figure out. And if you can be comfortable with that, then I think you would be a successful product manager.
I like that. That's really good advice. So for someone who's looking to get into product management, what advice would you give 'em?
Yeah, one thing I did, this is funny. I had a woman who was a director of product like laugh at me in my face when I
Oh,
told her I wanted to be a product manager.
okay.
And I didn't have any kind of path at all. So I've been like trying to come up with like a path for people in non-traditional backgrounds
Mhm.
to move. And so this is how I've been like thinking through this. The first thing I would do if I had to start at this time is I would try and get like a certificate. I probably would do the certified Scrum Master one too. So I did both of them at one time. And that's just gonna teach you like this is the flow of how things are built. You have a list of projects you want to complete on a backlog. You feed them to a development team, a scrum master, like it teaches you the language. It teaches you how the like factory is supposed to work that's building this product. And then I would try to go to these different kind of product community events that I see coming on where people are like, oh, we're going to have this product manager from this company talking about this thing, or we're going to have a talk dedicated to like product managers and what they're working on. I would just try and be in those environments so you could see how product managers carry themselves and the kind of things they think about and where their different companies are going. So for example, at Blackest Tech, I revealed a lot of like what my roadmap has been for the past year probably and how I'm thinking about the future. You could literally package that stuff into an interview that you're doing or a project you want to take on and run it like a product manager. So those will be the first two things. And then I would just be out here trying to build something. So if you can't get a product manager job, I'm not going to say being a startup founder is equivalent. What I will say is probably launching a couple of projects and just seeing how you like it and how do you move. Because in interviews, people will be asking you this stuff.
So I love the fact that you talked about projects, right? Because one, okay, so I wanna double click. So our certification is really impactful for real now.
I think it depends.
Okay.
I'm not a cert chaser.
Okay.
That's what I call them. Like people who are getting like 9, 10, 12 certs. But I also understand that that's a part of a different kind of tech. So I think there's tech like startups, AI, like working at the beginnings of industries, kind of, or trying to innovate in some crazy way or build this thing. That's a version of tech. And then there's a tech where it's like we maintain the infrastructure, we maintain identity and access management, which I see certs playing a huge role. I'm not in that space, and I can't really like say like, should you get a cert if you want to do this? Because I've met a lot of people who do that kind of maintenance work that don't have anything. But I would say for tech that's like innovation driven, startups, products it's not as sexy or required. And I'll even
But it's
say
helpful.
I won't even say it's helpful.
I'm saying even for a non-technical person.
I don't even think it's helpful for if you're trying to like come up in like the LinkedIn search algorithm for something that makes sense. But most of the time when interviewers are like when I give people that I'm interviewing for roles that we have open, I look at their resumes and I'm not looking for certifications.
Okay.
It's not something I think about. It's not something the companies I've worked for even charge forth with saying this person needs this. I think it's a great way to spend your time learning something, but most people are smart enough to know that the curriculum you had in your cert won't be the same that carries you through the role. So if you invest in one, I am kind of like, why? Like, make this make sense to me. I've never had an AWS or GCP or Microsoft cert in my life, but I've ran a lot of those cloud infrastructures and I've done a really great job and I've been well. So I think you need to figure out, is it really required? And then if you're trying to be a product manager, it is not. I wouldn't be a cert chaser.
I know that I think that for people who are, not in the industry or trying to pivot in their careers, typically that is a first place to start. So, do you think for somebody who's looking to be a product manager, it would be more impactful for them to invest their time in projects over chasing certification?
Yeah, I do. I think chasing projects and chase projects where you can be entrepreneurial. It is an entrepreneurial role. So the way that we're structured at HackerRank, for example, we have a small product team with a huge scope. that covers all of our products. I think right now we're a product team of 12, 14, somewhere around there. I mean, it's been bigger. At Recurrently, I think the product team was 30 people. Wow. Yeah. So I know I probably got to do the math again, but I know that the number has decreased and our scopes are large. And the expectation our CEO has is that, no, when I talk to you, you need to know the market. You need to know, like, from an entrepreneurial aspect, almost like, how are we going to get this money? How are we going to keep these customers happy? How are we going to continue to deliver value back to the business? Like, I would do more entrepreneurial projects than I probably would search.
And when you say
Yeah.
entrepreneurial
Mhm.
projects, what does that look like? Are those contract roles? Like
Mhm.
how does that look? Because I also, when we were at Blackest Tech, before you answer, when we were at Blackest Tech, there was
Mhm.
someone else talking about quantum computing and just different
Mhm.
things like that. And
Yeah.
that was also, they mentioned projects.
Like, what am I
Pattern
talking about?
recognition. Pattern recognition. I keep hearing like projects. So like, what does that look like? And then you're kind of adding a spin on it to say entrepreneurial projects. So
Yeah. Okay. So if you are a product manager,
Mhm.
I'm going to do it from that lens. There's probably four probably superpowers, I would say. Is marketing as a superpower, design, engineering, and maybe data is a fourth one. And when I say superpowers, these are like, I can do the job of a data analyst. I can do the job of a designer. I can do the job of a marketer or engineer. So when I say entrepreneurial, I would say if I'm trying to make my superpower and product management as marketing, I probably would start podcasts. I probably would be out here writing on some obscure topic that I care about that no one else knows about. And I will be trying to demonstrate that I know how to get growth. I know how to manage subscribers. I know how to get a message out there because that's what it is. It's like you're doing a lot of go to market kind of stuff. And if I was kind of like I am now, a product manager who excels on the technical side or the engineering side, I would code up different products and projects, release them to the public, try and get traction and engagement, see what happens when things break. I will adjust it and see if I could then make a bit of money, if I could collect data and like add value to it. If I was a designer, I would probably do the same. As a designer, you probably, if that's your superpower in a product, you probably would want to build some kind of portfolio where you probably have done like contract work for people,
Okay.
whether it be working in Figma, or working in like Canva, putting all these graphic designs together. So when I say entrepreneurial, I'm like things you have launched to the public that you've received some sort of feedback, whether it be monetary or engagement, that you've like turned around and added value to, because it's gonna be good for you to get that muscle. But in an interview, that's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at
Okay.
a cert.
I am thinking about it in terms of myself.
You
No,
should.
I'm
You
always
should.
thinking
Let's
about
talk
me.
about it. Let's get
Like,
into
I'm always thinking about
Yes.
me, but no, I think that that was great for you to even say because
Mhm.
again, it's like one of the things that I have been trying to do is use the skills that I'm getting paid to do something entrepreneurial or do something that's aligned. And again, as you are trying to move
Mhm.
up in this thing we call corporate, you can use those outside things and projects. And that was something I talked about on my last podcast. I'm like, you need to use your LinkedIn to be just like a supermarket full of all of the things that you've done. So again, even if we're talking about doing these side projects, it's like, okay, yes, I am someone who's technical. I've been building bots. These are
Mhm.
some of the bots that I build. I started working with this nonprofit. I built some bots for them. Like whether you're getting paid, obviously, sometimes you have to do some of those projects for free
Yeah.
to kind of like build your portfolio and then you can start moving towards paid projects. So that's why I wanted to just kind of double click into the project conversation to say that because I am also thinking that way. Like, I need to start using these skills that I'm getting paid to do to make some money on the side or to, and again, I won't be in the same place that I was, this past year of trying to prove it. It's like I'm doing it every day. I got a whole side business where I'm doing this type.
Can I tell you this thing? The reason Walgreens was such a good time for me they had like an assistant store manager training program. And
Mhm.
it was like they placed these kind of future store managers at these different stores, but in this program where we had to have a project in the business at our stores where we were either shifting something with operations, shifting something with sales, but it was something that wasn't a part of the day to day of running the store that could show we could take a leadership position and really, really drive the business forward. So you ask how it went from being like a technical support specialist to becoming a software engineer and all this stuff. I always try to locate what else can I do around here where I can contribute so much value to the business that we will have to have a different kind of conversation.
Okay.
And it typically, so when I was a technical support specialist, I built out this whole refund tool or whatever for a bunch of transactions. That was a significant tool because it took issues we were solving from 3 days to 1 day. It was, I mean, not even 1 day. It was like an hour, 3 days to an hour. And on top of that, our customers were happy. It was a new process we kind of like aligned ourselves around. And so I always, every single year, I look for what is a big project that I could take on in this business that either shows the direction I want my career to go in, or I want to set up a stage for a conversation about promotion, benefits, money, all this other stuff. And I don't think people do that enough. People just go to their day jobs and just do what they're told to do. But most of the time, if you could stretch yourself and identify an opportunity that the business is either lacking in or hasn't, someone's going to notice that because more than likely we're all complaining about it,
Yeah.
but no one wants to do anything.
So how do you find those projects? Like, is it something that your manager is talking about? Is it like something that, y'all complaining about amongst the team? Or is it
I look
just
at
like,
what I complain about.
okay.
I'm a complainer.
Yeah, me
So
too.
I'm just like at work, like,
Yeah.
why is this like this? Why is no one ready? What's going on? And the things that I find myself consistently complaining about, I turn those things into projects. And
Okay.
and it could be things that I hear people saying, "Well, this is a struggle for us, or we need help trying to do this thing." I'm like, oh, that's a whole business opportunity that we aren't even enacting on or taking advantage of as a business. So just look at what you're
Look
complaining.
at what you're complaining about. What's one big thing you wish you had known or you wish someone had told you before you made your big move into the product management?
Man, can I tell you this? And I'll tell you the worst advice.
Yeah,
I've
give me
ever
the best.
They parallel. They parallel. Okay, so the best advice I've received is to be all in it. Like being a product manager isn't like a part-time job. And it's not even a job you can do. Like most people will be like, I could show up to work and probably like coast probably for a week or coast a day or so. I don't get that. I'm working 12-hour days sometimes. I'm managing a lot of complexity. I'm talking to a lot of people. It takes up a lot of my time and mental space. So the advice I received, which was from the first boss I ever had, was be all in and be responsive. He was like, if you can think through how to do it in 5 minutes, just do it. So like the email, when you receive it, like if you can come up with a response in like 2 to 3 minutes, just respond. Don't sit there and let it wait. So being all in is help. That's been really, really good advice. And I think when I'm performing best for my team, I notice that it's when I'm all in. And I see that with other product managers too. That tends to be consistent. The worst advice I've ever received, and this is important, was that you shouldn't lead with your heart. Like, don't have your heart and your emotions and all this stuff, visible. And I think Black women get this advice often where it's like you're either the angry Black woman or like there's all this kind of bias placed on Black women and other people about our emotions and caring and being passionate people. I can say that my career has been one where I've led with passion. I've like loved everything I've done. I've thrown myself at everything. And there's been moments where I've literally cried if something didn't work.
Oh my
Or
God.
if like someone left the team, like I had an engineering manager, it's like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Type of situation.
Yeah.
And that has made such my career and my life is unimaginable because of
Because
it,
of that.
because I could show up and I can feel what I feel. I can express myself and I can be who I am in that. I think anybody that tells you don't lead with your heart or don't put your whole self into something has something to gain by you not doing
Yeah.
that.
So how do you create a balance for yourself if you are working 12-hour days?
Yeah, I
Boundaries.
think it depends on like the kind of labor I'm being asked to do. If you email me and it's about this whole technical spec thing and all this other stuff, I'm not going to have an answer for you in the next 3 to 5 minutes because I probably got to go read something. I probably won't have an answer for you in the next 48 hours. And I would assume that if people know that they're asked, they probably don't know, but I would assume if it's something to that magnitude, you would understand I would need time. But it comes down to prioritizing. And that's why I had said, like, being able to live underwater after telling people no or not being able to, like, close the feedback loop really rapidly. I think it's okay to consistently remind yourself that there are things that absolutely have to get done today in order to keep this ship.
Finding the fires.
Yeah.
Fighting the
So
fires
I come
of the
in
day.
every day,
Yeah.
and no matter what people say to me, I'm like, these are the top 3 issues that need to be resolved in the day. Everything else is not resolved. People may hate me. People may be twiddling their thumbs, waiting on me to send an owl or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm going to live with that in my therapy sessions and deal with that then. But these 3 things are of top
Those are my priorities.
And I think,
So how do you find balance though with 12-hour days
Yeah.
with the, I guess, the requirements and just you talked about having a drink. I just want to know, like, where's the balance in what you do?
it's work-life flexibility.
Okay.
And I know it's a lot
So
of
you're
people.
doing that in, are you doing that in like Paris? Like,
Yeah, I've
that
done
look
it.
like?
When I was in India earlier this year, it was like a work trip. I was there for 3 weeks and I was just giving myself time to work. But during the summer, it was like I was able to work 8-hour days, during my normal time because I had spent the amount of time I needed to, like working on the important things ahead of time.
Okay.
I think you need to see it as like my time may not, and this is consistent with any kind of role where you have autonomy and you're self-driven. You need to be able to manage your time. You need to be able to say, okay, we entering into a hectic season. It's going to take 12, 16 hours for me to get through this season a day. But if I budget that time wisely, I could have a normal 8-hour kind of schedule to drive the initiative or whatever I need to then. I think it's a matter of being, like you said, under promising, but over delivering, but then prioritizing. I have burned out several times in the workforce.
Okay.
And it's come because I was trying to be a people pleaser. I was trying to like.
How did you unlearn that in corporate? Because I do
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
that's another thing that we don't talk about or we don't call out. I feel like we call out imposter syndrome so much. We call it out like, oh, I don't feel like I'm good enough for.
Yeah.
But how do you overcome people pleasing, especially even when you get to a point where you're dealing with stakeholders that are higher in the organization and saying no
Yeah.
is a little different.
We get to a point where it's like you get tired of getting cut. Like not cut from a team, but you get these little cuts every time you people please and you commit to something that you don't have capacity for. Either comes out at a lower quality or it doesn't get done in time, or it took you to give something of yourself that you didn't have at the time. You get those little cuts consistently. And eventually you get so many cuts that you just say, I'm tired of getting cut. But I also believe if there is a shift that happens, because I remember at one point when I was just like in the support queue, just talking to developers, I had a certain kind of way I carried myself that now because I'm like talking to my executives almost daily. And it's just it's to the point where you know how people text each other and it's all lowercase and you could tell like, okay, we're on the bottom. We cool. It's almost like that informal language. Hey, did you do this? What's going on with this? What do you think about him? What do you think about this? When it becomes that, you begin to say, oh, I need to perform and I need to carry myself at a higher level. So what I have had change is my executive presence in the past 2 years has shifted because I'm in different circles. More is being required of me, and there were old habits and behaviors that I had to let go, which which includes like dealing with burnout.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna it happens to everybody. It happened to me. And I had to get into a place where I was able to say, like, yo, I'm burned out. What we gonna do about this?
Okay, so you expressed that to your company that you felt like
Yeah, several times I've gone to my leadership and I've said, like, hey, I'm getting burned out. I'm burned out or I'm burned out now. It's coming because of these situations that are emerging around me. Now, if they don't listen to you, which some people encounter this, you kind of have to fight the battle by yourself. I've had to do that in this been a matter of me getting therapy, looking for other places to work because if they don't hear you saying that I don't have anything in my tank, then they don't really care about the business, and by default they don't care about you. But when I've gone to them and I said, "Yo, I'm burned out. What can we do?" The leaders I've had have been system builders. They've been able to say, "Okay, we need this system over here because it's taking from Travelle's capacity to perform, or we need to go and have this conversation with these people over here about this kind of behavior because it's doing this to Travell." I think every workplace is different, but you should start with some kind of conversation, letting people know this is where I'm at. And yeah, people gonna look at you. We think they're gonna think we're weak, or why does she have this job in the first place if they can't handle it? But I'm at the point I don't care.
Yeah. You got your list, you know your value.
I know the
Yeah.
things that are important on any given day, and I know what I need to succeed. So if you can't align with me to get those things, then we need to be having a different kind of conversation.
So what did you have to change? So you said you are now in different rooms. So over the past 2 years, you've leveled up your executive presence. What does that look like, or what did you have to unlearn?
Yeah. I had to unlearn saying what I want the way I want to.
Okay. So as a product manager, what about the future of your industry excites you the most?
I think, man, I think everybody is getting into this product mode. Like AI can make people move faster. So everybody thinks they're a builder now.
Mhm.
I feel good about that as a product manager
Okay.
because that means I'm going to have better conversations with people when I'm building stuff. Right now, sometimes it does feel like you have to go to these different stakeholders and be like, this is what I want and this is where the product is going. I like thinking that anybody in my stakeholder chain could be like, yo, Travell, I built this small app using AI to give you an idea of like what I want. I really like that.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you can have more informed conversations, or conversations that are further along with people who may not be in your position because they can use technology.
Yeah, I want it to be like studio. Like you seen rappers in the studio, like people who like I'm in the studio and it's just like everybody up in there is creating. I've always wanted to run my products in that way.
Okay.
Like any kind of, they call them pods at most companies, where it's like a product pod that says you. I always wanted to run or aim to like run my pod like it's like we're in a studio making an album. You just handling the marketing, they're just handling.
Okay, cool. Like
But AI will make it like if you are, for example, audio engineer, but you happen to be a writer. In that kind of environment, somebody like Kanye will say, "Hey, come write a verse to song right real quick, or edit this song in a way that makes sense for the audio." And I love that for product.
Oh my gosh. So I get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get exactly what you said when you said that. Now it's just like, okay, we're all on the same page.
Yes.
And you know how to make this best fit you because you can use AI to conceptualize and build this out. And we can kind of speak in the same language. Yeah.
Exactly.
Whereas in most cases, you talking to somebody in marketing, they don't know what you're talking about, or there's a barrier. Right?
Huge.
There's a barrier to like you understanding their requirements, or like what their priorities are, or what they want the finished product to be, or how y'all work together. But if they can just build it and be like, this is what I'm thinking of doing, you can look at it and be like, we can move these 3 things around and this could work.
Exactly.
Okay.
I like that. And I like the thought that everybody could build the tools that they need. So I could build a dashboard from a prompt. If
Mhm.
I'm working in marketing, I could build a demo of the product I want to sell to a customer if I'm a salesperson. Just I like that because what that means is we're all actively engaging in the creative process.
Mhm.
And when that happens, we're going to get more ideas, but
Ooh, it's a lot of innovation.
yeah, but it's going to up level like technology in general,
Mhm.
because if everybody could build their own software, what is software at that point?
Mhm.
What kind of software are you buying? What kind of agents are you buying? And what kind of capabilities should they have? I think it's just gonna make everything appear now.
Mhm.
And I can't wait to see what the next bar looks like.
So, what opportunities do you feel like there are for
Mm.
newer product managers or people who are wanting to get in the industry?
Oh man, you asking like the hard question. I still don't know what this looks like. I
Okay.
don't know what the new
Yeah.
opportunities are. I just know there's going to be a next generation of how things get built, and people need to be kind of learning, as we all are right now with these new tools, on how to align to that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the like you can look at product management, and 20, 25 years ago, this wasn't as big as a career as it is now.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
My favorite product manager in general is Marissa Mayer. She's like the CEO at Yahoo. She started at Google as an engineer, but she will be an engineer. And I think this was the same way I was, which is why I like her, where she would like talk to Sergey and the other CEO guy, Larry and Sergey, I think. She would go and talk about these product ideas. Like, we don't just need to be coding. We need to be taking strategic steps to add value to our product so we can compete in the market. But she's one of the first product managers, and it wasn't a whole
That's
big thing.
crazy.
Yeah. So
That's
this,
crazy.
even we're talking about product management,
Yeah.
this wasn't. So who knows? We may not even have product management as a thing
Mhm.
30, 35, which is not a bad thing.
Well, because that means things are advancing.
Yeah.
And I think one of the consistent messages that I have gotten throughout this type of question
Hmm.
in all of my interviews is AI, right?
Mhm.
That's something that people are excited about, but also like frightened about, right? In terms of what's happening. But I would say that as a pattern recognition, to continue to learn more and invest your skills and upskilling in AI, we always talk about how we're missing waves and, when the market crashes and when all these things, but there are a lot of signs that are pointing towards the next boom and the next wave, and then the investments from everybody as a whole is going to be in AI. So I would definitely encourage people to pivot their skills, upskill themselves in AI. I would definitely encourage them to find ways to invest in AI, even from a stocks and bonds and, other things like
Mhm.
that, because I can't have a conversation. Nobody can have a conversation without talking about AI. So it's just like everybody's talking about it. There is a lot that's happening.
I think so.
Yeah.
But I like to, okay, I do this thing where I sit and I think about human beings and the things that will be consistent. So you'll always need to have housing. You'll always need to have food. You'll always need to have energy. You always need to be in good health. And I like to kind of align myself with things that I know
Aren't gonna go
regardless.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could, like, even if you got AI out of it, people probably will be talking about the cloud or something else. But underneath or with these technologies, you do see people build different ways how we can network with each other, better ways how we can know what's going on in the food supply.
And I think that's okay. So my message was big, but yours is definitely much more meticulous than what I was
No,
saying, because that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
It's going to be the infrastructure and the
Hmm.
underlining of everything that we are doing. So it is good to
No.
know it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be a certification, but it is like, how are farmers using this? How are we talked about quantum computing at Blackest Tech? Like, how are researchers using this to solve?
Or even how to farm.
That's
Right?
what I'm saying. Yeah.
If I like right now, I'm obsessed with learning how everyday things work, because the only thing that happens is these things become systematized.
What do you
It's not like, so we're talking about how the farmers work. If you wanted to automate the food chain or the food
Mhm.
supply chain and build a robot that would do the job of a farmer, whoever's building that robot needs to know how to farm. And so
For
I
sure.
try to like really, even with DJing, I'm obsessed with like DJing with vinyls and figuring out what that process looks like. Because no matter what new technology
It's
comes,
gonna be
what
based off of
systems,
that.
it's gonna be shaped around that. And that's why I say like those things are tied to raw human needs,
Mhm.
and we have industries around them. If you learn the fundamentals of how this kind of stuff works, it doesn't matter what technology shift we go through. I still know how to farm.
Mhm.
I still know that in whatever system, it has to mention something about a seed and propagation and all this other stuff happening. So
Yeah, and we're losing that.
yeah,
We're losing that. I saw my aunt sew something like 2 months ago, and I was like, I forgot I could sew.
see,
I forgot that I could do
see,
that. Like, this
yeah,
is really a thing. Like you even
yeah.
said, propagation. Like, I have plants in my house, but I haven't went that far as to learn how to grow some type of food or some type of resource. You know, like those are things that we're losing.
Can I give you a tactical one?
Which
It's the same with APIs.
Okay.
So you can go into ChatGPT right now. I wouldn't use ChatGPT. I would use Claude probably to do this.
Okay.
But you could
Recommendation. Use ChatGPT for text messages.
I do.
know y'all.
I use Claude for code.
Yeah.
Anthropic has figured that out, in my opinion. I could go into Claude and I could be like, hey, stand me up an API to do this kind of thing.
Mhm.
And regardless, I've built APIs from the ground up, and I've done the meticulous work with every piece of code, figuring out the controller, figuring out the view, the model, the database, all this stuff that needs to happen. That now, when I'm collaborating with AI, it creates a scaffold, and I'm able to go in and chisel and refine at a rapid rate.
Mhm.
And then even if we're in a situation where the frontier models go down and everybody is having a blackout and can't code or figure out how this stuff needs to happen, I'm like, the business doesn't need to stop. I know how to build
Yeah.
an AI
Okay.
API from
Yeah.
the ground up.
Yeah. So you're saying those skills are still
Absolutely.
necessary.
Yeah.
Technology helps to scale,
Yeah.
but knowing the skills from a base level is
They help.
something
It
that's
really
important.
helps. And you use the tools from an inform. I don't like using the tool and I'm not informed.
I think that's another caveat about AI, man. It's like it's handicapping us too.
It is.
It is handicapping us. I will say, I think that there are a lot of pros. I do think that there are some cons.
Mhm.
It's just like how we got DoorDash and the backs is wider. We're starting to become more dependent on it. You know what I'm saying? We definitely are. But I definitely can say too, I'm gonna still stand on 10 toes.
Should.
Invest your learning in
AI.
AI, but you have to do it from an informed perspective. You get what I'm saying? You got to do it from an informed perspective, you know, building your expertise or just understanding from a base level how it works, because I do think that that's going to be a part of some type of, it's a lot of people getting paid off of AI. Your company is investing in it. My company is investing in it. I don't know. We using AI at McDonald's now.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. So I definitely think it's something to invest in, but I agree with learning the fundamental skills that you would use with the technology so that you're making informed decisions about, you know, what you're investing in or what you're trying to learn.
Don't you think though there is this thing where like with each technological shift or advancement, there's something we kind of lose?
I was just gonna say we lose
Like
something.
social media.
We do. We are losing a lot right now.
Mhm.
We're losing a lot right now with it. And I mean, even I would say ChatGPT, like, it's so funny because now it's in the public. But as people who are in tech and as people who are in technical roles, like, we learned about ChatGPT. That was like 22, I want to say 22, 23. I want to say at least like 22, 23 is when I first began to interact with it, and how we interacted with it then versus how now it's just ingrained in everybody's lives. Like I said, I don't even want to write an email on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I like when I
can't.
get
I'm screaming.
yeah, I just don't even want to write an email. I'm like, I don't even want to write an email. Or when I get text messages from people, and it's like, this is Chat GPT, and you told me that you want to go to lunch next week.
Exactly.
You could just text, hey, how you doing? I want to go to lunch. Like, you want to chat. And it is, we're losing things. And one of the things that we talked about at the beginning is critical thinking.
I think so.
Critical thinking.
What I see the pattern being this: when we got social media, it took away a lot of social skills. a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of soft skills. I think it's been an interesting period of time since like Facebook has become Meta and scaled, and all these different like social media companies have had us in a stranglehold. That now in the workforce, you see soft skills being emphasized. It's common to be in a conversation with a recruiter or hiring manager, and they'll say, well, I'm expecting a lot of what I probably expected before people started using social media. You're
Really?
gonna be on time, you're gonna communicate, you're gonna be delightful, you're gonna collaborate with people, you're gonna be proactive. These are a lot of things that I see in older generations that weren't impacted by these kind of technological shifts that I think our generation has had some struggles around. And I think the same thing is gonna happen with AI. So you're gonna end up with the kind of workforce where employers are saying, I want people who can handcraft great messages themselves. I want people who can navigate across all these tools and create a unified, synthesized thread or build a product that makes sense. So as technology takes over and we lose these things, I still think they end up having value in the workplace, and that would be what I focus on. What everyone's losing right now is going to be the thing that's going to help most people win. And if you look at social media, the people who are winning social media, they are like masterminds at like emotional intelligence and communicating to crowds and how do you get your voice out.
I think that's I think that's the biggest thing, right? Because everybody's so used to being behind the screen.
Exactly.
Everybody's so used to being behind the screen. I feel like there's so much social anxiety that is happening in
Perfect
the
word.
world
Yes,
because
yes.
we're interacting more, but we're doing it in person less. We're doing it
Yes.
intimately less, but we're doing it way more. You
Mhm.
get online and you see 5,000 people's lives, and everything
Yeah.
that they did, you gotta react. 17 people wrote you. People
Yes.
followed everybody. It's like you're overstimulated with interaction with other humans, but you actually aren't interacting with them. So I could see that because right now companies are encouraging us to use AI for our roles. I don't know about your company, but our company has a partnership with everybody has large language models that they're using. And they're like, if you're gonna do something for the company, use this. Because they know everybody is using ChatGPT, everybody's using Claude, everybody's using this. So they're like, we know that you're going to use AI. But I do think that, as you're saying, there is gonna be a point where there's gonna have to be like some diversity of thought that is going to have to be used. And they are going to start saying, you got to back away from AI because you're going to get a lot of the same answers and information, especially if it's using the information that you're giving to train and build. It's like, okay, when is something original really going to come out of this? Right now is being praised because it brings efficiency, but innovation is going to, I feel like it's going to halt at some point too. I could possibly see that being the case if you're talking about shifting back to those, how do you build an API skills?
I think you're spot on. I'm an AI pusher at work. I tell people, just like people be like, this could have been an email, this could have been a text message,
Yeah.
this could have been done with ChatGPT.
What?
Did you not throw a prompt in, generate this real quick? We decide, and then we move. But I think there are times where it's like, this is not a ChatGPT task. Why did you use ChatGPT?
And I think that's the thing. I feel like everybody is using it, myself included, right? I'm not
Same.
not about this, but we are. Like I said, I see myself having the mental capacity to write an email and decided not to because I want ChatGPT to do it. And then also like just the laziness in it as well. It's like, you don't be really read it.
Exactly.
You don't take none of them hyphens out. When y'all text me with them hyphens,
Yes.
y'all text me
Oh,
with them
that
hyphens.
my blood.
I know that the hyphens are in there. But this has been an amazing conversation.
Thank you.
I appreciate you so much.
Vice versa.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your journey with our audience. Really appreciate your message. I'll put Travelle's LinkedIn information in the bio. If you guys are product managers looking for mentorship or aspiring product managers that maybe just want to pick his brain on some of the stuff that we discussed today. Thanks again for coming to the coffee chat. Excited for our next conversation. All right. Bye, y'all.